Hello, hello, my beautiful souls. Welcome to the intuitive card reading for the week of, September 8th through 14th. Yeah, that sounds right. Welcome. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already subscribed. Please like this video. Please share this video with anybody that needs to hear the energies and the influences of the week. And comments down below. I always love reading your comments. I know a few of you have been commenting before. Thank you. Let me know if the reading resonates. And if you have any questions, if you have any general comments, just all I ask is you guys be kind. And you have been. So thank you. Okay, so same 3 decks shuffled. Pretty sure they're a different order from the last reading, and I think that's it. Let's just jump right into it because I'm eager to see what this week has in store for us. All right, what do we need? Traveler, move in a new direction. Okay, pretty straightforward here. It's basically saying we need to pivot. We need to move in a new direction. We need to do something differently than what we've actually been doing. Could this also mean we need to travel? Possibly, but I definitely do feel like it's more so about shifting in a new direction. There's actually not too much more I could say here about this card. So yeah, it's just, if you've been kind of going one way, especially if you've been going one way and kind of hitting obstacles or hitting walls, maybe walls is more appropriate because obstacles you can kind of move through. Walls, sometimes you just can't penetrate, you can't push through. So you might just be having to go in a completely different direction. And by the way, I'm getting for like all areas of life. So this could be just like picking a new strategy, maybe for dating. This could be picking a new strategy for finding a job, for dealing with family, whatever it actually is. If you own a business, maybe you have to go in a different direction that way. But it definitely does feel like whatever you're trying to do right now definitely feels like you're hitting walls, and it's important that maybe you need to pivot. And it's under need, so it's basically saying like it's kind of overdue, right? All right, we have action needed, milk and honey. Okay, so this is bittersweet energy. This is like, oh, this is sweet, but there might be maybe an ending or a closing of a chapter or closing of a door. So it says that we need to do the thing that maybe is hard. And maybe that does go with moving in a new direction, that traveler card, because it's basically saying like, maybe you need to pivot in a new direction, but it doesn't, it doesn't feel good because you have to let go of something, or you have to close the door on something, or you have to do something completely different, go in a completely different direction. So there's definitely like this bittersweet energy that's kind of going on, but again, it's under action needed. So it's saying like you need to take action on the thing that maybe isn't pleasant, but it will help you go further, or help you move further, or help you move forward, I should say. Even if it's bittersweet, so that means that you'll be gaining something, but you might also be losing something at the same time. And maybe that's why you're not necessarily moving forward, but you definitely need to take action on it. And yeah, this is definitely an action-oriented task here. All right, what do we have? Issues with trickster, transcending conventional, stuffiness, and predictable behavior. Okay, so it's saying that we're having a hard time with that. All right, so we're having a hard time with convention, with stuffiness, with predictability. Nothing is fun anymore. Like it feels like something is not fun. It feels like you can't, like maybe the people you around you are stifled, or have a stick up their butt kind of situation. Never thought I would say that on a reading, but there's no joy around you. You have no joy. You can't even laugh anymore. Nobody's laughing, right? And so it definitely is like this, we're having issues being like in a very stifled environment in some way, shape, or form. So trying to break out of that or find the joy in that is going to be very difficult. That's definitely an issue. So this could be like the workplace. Maybe you just got a new job and it's like not anything like your old previous role or job that was, where you guys had at least, you got your work done, but you had a little bit of fun, and maybe it's like a little bit more, like things are like more serious. So basically Spirit is asking us to like break through the unseriousness, break through the seriousness with some unseriousness, but with some silliness, with some joy, that kind of thing. But again, it's under issue, so that's going to be hard for us to do. So hang in there. Things will get a little bit more lighthearted, I guess I could say. But this week it definitely poses an issue there. What else do we have problems with? We have the challenge. We have sage, be devoted and committed. Okay, so we're having issues being committed to something, being devoted to something. So focusing on something. So we're having issues in this area. We actually haven't had, I don't know if we've had this card, but this energy specifically, because I remember maybe like, it could be like 6 months ago now, maybe like 3 to 6 months ago, where I definitely was getting a lot of energy of us committing, us devoting to something, you know, us putting the work in for something, but maybe that has fallen off, right? Or maybe we've been doing it and we're having a challenge with it, right? It is under challenge. So we're having some kind of commitment issues of some kind, committing to something. This could mean like even your everyday decisions. This could be maybe the bigger stuff, like maybe you're afraid to be committed to a partner, you know, getting into a relationship or something, a committed relationship. So there's something here in challenge that, you know, we're just afraid to, we're a bit of wishy-washy, as some people say, in not necessarily making decisions, but again, you know, it's not necessarily the clarity thing. It's just kind of like the you know, being apprehensive of committing, you know, the actual act of that. So yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. All right, what do we need to change here, or what is changing, I should say? TikTok. Okay, so TikTok is always about, sometimes it's about running out of time. Sometimes it's just time in general, like saying like, you know, I have a deadline, like that kind of thing. Sometimes it can mean more time, like saying like, oh, you have more time, don't rush into it, like that kind of thing, but I'm not getting that energy here. I'm definitely getting an energy of, the deadlines are changing. So how do I say this? So yeah, maybe it, so maybe it does mean that in the way of like, if you've had strict deadlines like on something, that the timelines are changing. So what's a good example for this? The first thing that's popping into my head, I know this is a sensitive subject for a lot of people out there. Maybe you're trying to have a baby. I always think of this as an example because this is something where you quite literally have a biological clock, so you definitely have a deadline. You know, you're kind of working up against time. You know, where a lot of things, not necessarily, but yes, with this, you definitely have a deadline, you know. Obviously, if you want to adopt or get a surrogate, like then you have more time, right, than carrying it yourself. If you're, I'm talking about women here, by the way. Yeah, men could have children up until the day they die. Okay, so anyway, that's a whole other story. So this might say like maybe the deadline is changing. Maybe you are deciding, you know, in this specific example, like maybe you're saying like, okay, the deadline is approaching. I don't want a deadline anymore. This is too stressful to try to have this goal by this, you know, by time I'm, you know, whatever age it actually is, you know, I will extend that deadline, and I will change that deadline to be infinity. And so that means that I'm open to surrogacy and I'm open to adoption. That's what it means to me. It's like all of a sudden, like the deadline is changing. And it could be changing because you're making the decision to change, or it's just changing in general because it's happening organically. That wouldn't happen, you know, that wouldn't apply to that situation, that particular situation, but definitely do feel like something is going on here. Maybe there's like a deadline at work for like a specific project. Maybe it gets extended this week or something like that. Like something is changing. I do feel like it could be a big thing, right? I mean, I'm just talking about the, you know, having a child thing. That's a big thing, right? It's a big life. I mean, that's the biggest thing I would say. So it could be massive in that way, right? Or it could be simply like I just mentioned, like somebody changing a deadline for something. Maybe you're trying to apply to school and you're running out of time, and they extended the deadline, right? And a deadline gets extended of like when you can apply for it or something like that. So I see it as a positive thing, right? Because it kind of like opens things up for us. Like I definitely feel like this open feeling. So again, it doesn't feel like it's getting more restricted, like, you know, putting more pressure on us. It definitely feels like it's alleviating the pressure, and that's a really good thing. So I love that. All right, we have focus, upside down addict, compromises integrity and honesty, allows an addictive pattern to have authority over your inner spirit. Okay, so this is, it's in the shadow, so not the greatest, but this is basically saying we're letting our addictions get to us. We're doing too much. We're whatever our vice is getting to us. So it says focus on cutting that out, right? If you have fallen off the wagon, for example, that would consider a big thing. If you're an alcoholic, this would be spirit saying, okay, your priority needs to be to go back to AA, or get this under control. Or if your vice is overeating, or anything that's like an overindulgence too can be under here. Could fit under this energy. So maybe you're overeating, so now it's time to focus on your diet, and it's a priority to make a meal plan or go to a dietitian, or like whatever it actually is. So it definitely is asking us to focus on like what has gotten out of control in that way, and that's definitely a priority for this week for sure. I mean, it's pretty clear there. Okay, reflect. We have snake shed old skin. Okay, so this is about, did we get this last time? I think we may have gotten this last time on the reflect card. I'm not sure. I don't know. But what I can tell you here is kind of reflecting on the old you to the new you. I think we got it maybe somewhere. Maybe it was in surprise, now that I'm thinking about it. Guys, my memory is slowly getting better. It's not perfect. So anyway, I can tell you what it means under reflect. It basically, shed old skin means, becoming a new version of yourself. Right? And so basically it's asking you to reflect on that. Not too much more to say here. It's just basically saying like, what has changed within you? Okay, what has changed? How are you? You may have had a big transformation, or maybe like even a small one. For me, I consider mine a big transformation. Like I'm going through a period of time, which I'm calling the void, of healing from something. And I will tell you right now, I am so not the person I was before I got into this, okay, 4 years ago. Definitely a completely different person in my eyes. And so maybe that's something I need to kind of reflect on who I am now, right? I know for sure I'm not who I used to be, but who am I now, right? And that's like a good reflection question there to contemplate, to introspect, a good journal prompt to get in there and start writing. I know we're entering the eclipse. We entered the eclipse on the 7th, which was just, you guys are seeing this on the 8th. So yeah, so yesterday basically. Eclipses really, they're connected to massive change, and I definitely do feel like this is part of. Eclipses are really good for shadow work, right? And so it's a part of like letting go of things, right? Letting go of the past, letting go of, again, an old version of you, and that kind of thing. So I think it's like perfect timing there. So I like that. So yeah, lots to introspect. Okay, responsibilities. We have round and round. Okay, so this is about like a cyclical pattern. This is about doing something potentially in routine, doing things over and over again, doing a habit, which I like because it kind of counters the addict, right? Because it's basically saying like, you have a routine, you have positive, and basically it's coming through positively, right? Where this is coming through a little bit more on the negative side because it's in the shadow. So this is basically saying like, your responsibilities are to stick to your routines. Your responsibilities are to stick to your positive habits. Your responsibilities are to stay structured. Your responsibilities are to stay on that schedule, stay on schedule, keep everything on schedule. So keep your kids, on schedule. Make sure they're going to their appointments. Make sure, do your best. Basically, that's your responsibilities are like, do your best with these particular things. And so, eating schedule, and I say it's kind of like it counters, because sometimes, the shadow of the addict can bring chaos, right? This is like the opposite of chaos. This is basically saying, nope, this is about order. Okay, this is your responsibilities to just stay in order. So definitely a good counterbalance there. All right, money, finances, and career. We have Knight in the shadow, allegiance to a destructive ruler, principle, romantic illusions. Okay. Okay, so it's like a negative loyalty. So this card can mean many things, but and sometimes the energies are stronger. One energy is stronger than the other, but I'm definitely getting like a feeling of like a misplaced loyalty. Okay, it's coming under money and finances, and I put career in this section. So if you were being loyal to a career that doesn't pay you enough, doesn't even give you enough vacation time, has a really toxic workplace and a toxic culture and that kind of thing, this is basically saying like you're getting to the point where you're getting really fed up, and Spirit is reminding you to not be so loyal to a destructive ruler, right? And because of all, and with all of those things that are happening, you're working overtime without being paid accordingly, or you're working the weekends when when you signed on they said that you didn't have to work weekends or something along those lines. So it's like a destructive type connection to something that is like, it's honestly, it's almost like, if anybody's familiar with the term trauma bond, where you feel like you're connected to something, but you think it's like a positive thing, but it's like really, maybe this isn't the best example, but it's like more of like you're connected to something, but that something kind of like abuses you, right? Like it takes advantage of you, and you kind of like take the breadcrumbs almost. That's not the best example of a trauma bond, but maybe trauma bond wasn't exactly the greatest example here. But it's basically saying like you're being loyal to something that maybe you shouldn't be loyal to because they're not loyal back, like that kind of thing. And then it's under money and finances too. So this could mean like maybe you're being too obsessive with money, or you're relying too much on a particular way of getting money. Like maybe you're a gambler. This is under money and finances, so it could definitely be in that category where maybe you're winning and winning and winning and winning, but like maybe you're up right now, but it's kind of like it's like a destructive ruler, right? And actually that kind of goes in with the addict. Maybe the gambling is part of that. So yeah, they're tied together here. So so this is just about like trying to be as maybe the word detached is what we need to hear, like trying to be as detached as possible. And if it feels like you don't have to go above and beyond, is what I think I'm trying to say here, is like you don't have to go above and beyond for someone for something that won't go above and beyond for you. So this is even like being so connected to money and being maybe a little too obsessed with money, holding on to your money a little bit too much. I know we have the miser archetype in this deck as well, that really kind of does mean that, but this kind of it's giving off a little bit of that energy, holding on to that money, not in the and like not spending it on people that maybe spending on yourself, spending on people that deserve it, like that kind of thing. So it's kind of like it's a destructive ruler in that way. So hopefully that makes sense. But guys, I know money, finances, and career, I haven't been getting the most like wonderfully abundant type cards there, but I have hope, I have faith, I should say, as we move along, it will get better for sure. Because I know in this economy right now, especially, shout out to my Americans, it's not great. I know many of you guys are working like many jobs. Things have gotten super expensive. I just saw the jobs report. Oh my God, it's like a disaster. So yeah, there's a lot going on. So sending my love to you, but yeah, I have faith that things will progress. Okay, so surprise, warrior. Yay! I love the warrior archetype. So surprise, you're strong. Surprise, you're stronger than you think you are. So yeah, so you might have like a moment of being like, wow, I can't believe I'm that powerful, or a moment of that kind of comes out of nowhere because it's under surprise of wow, I'm really strong, or I can't believe or feeling fearless, like you thought that you were reacting more of like a fearful way, but you react in a more like fearless type way. There's something kind of that goes on here that puts you into that archetype, but it comes from a surprise, comes out of nowhere. So can mean a few different things there. friends, we have clean it up. Okay, so this is about clean house. This is about, doing the little things. This is about closing things up, getting things together. Organizing could even be. So it's under friends, so it could mean all those things with our friend group or community. So this could mean clean house, meaning like who are the bad apples in your friend group, or who are the bad apples in your community, and maybe you shouldn't communicate with them as much, or maybe detach, that word I mentioned, from them, or have boundaries or something like that. Yeah, there's not too much more I can say about that. Yeah, just clean house in that way. Okay, romantic connection. We have femme fatale. Interesting, under romantic connection. Highlights the erotic energy of the feminine. Opens your heart when your dependency is rejected. Okay, so femme fatale. I have to watch what I say on YouTube. Okay. This is the more, it's in the light, so this is in the feeling more sensual. Let's just put it this way. I think I could say sensual. Yeah, feeling more sensual, feeling more playful. If you guys catch my drift, feeling more, I already read it on the card, erotic, I guess I could say. Feeling more pleasure seeking, okay? Especially if you are, I would say this, especially if you are, how do I say this? In your feminine, and what I mean by that, because I'm really trying hard to break the habit of using that word when it comes to the yin energy, because that's really what it is. But especially, okay, so I will say feminine / yin energy. So it doesn't necessarily have to mean that if you identify as a woman. It could, you could also be a man watching this and being like, yeah, I'm like in my yin era right now, because we all have both, right? Yang era, I can't wait to be in my yang era, right? Actually getting stuff done, being more action oriented. I'm in my chronic illness phase, so that's, I have to slow down, be in my being, like different things like that. So to me, I'm more in my yin phase. So, and I was operating in my yang for a while. So anyway, I'm going off topic. This means that if you identify with the yin right now, then this will most apply to you, is what I'm trying to say. And it came in the light, so it definitely feels like it's like a positive thing. So it's an improvement in your romantic connections for sure. I mean, I don't see how it would not be, you know what I mean? Because it's about pleasure seeking, it's about, intimacy, that kind of thing. So it's a positive thing. So I don't think there's much more I can say about this without getting a strike on YouTube. However, it's a positive thing. Definitely being more physical and intimate and sensual than usual. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to say. I don't think I could say the H word. You guys know where I'm going with that. Okay, important, wise one, grow within your current situation. Okay, so this is about wisdom. This is about growing within the situation. This is about reflecting on something and learning the lessons from it, connecting the dots from it. So it's saying it's important that you do that. It's important that you utilize your wisdom or recognize your wisdom. And apply it, right? So this also usually means, like, when we are wiser, it means that we don't repeat the same mistakes that maybe we've done before, and we move differently, we operate differently, like that kind of thing. So it's important to use your wisdom, is basically what Spirit is saying here. Almost done, guys. Health and wellness. We have thinker. So this is logic. This is usually logic. So it's under health and wellness. So this is basically saying, like, use your logical skills, use your logical brain, research things, debate things, analyze things. Okay, so when it comes to health and wellness, this could be maybe I always use like a weight loss journey for this. Maybe this is the week to actually sit down and analyze, maybe you've been tracking all your calories, but now it's time to go and analyze your macros and, crunch the numbers and look at things like a little bit more of like I'm sorry, not a positive way, but look at it in a positive way if you want, but in a more logical way is what I meant to say. Like, it's time to maybe like crunch the numbers even more, figure out how you can get a little bit more, how many more calories you have to cut to, make your goal weight. How many different more, what am I trying to say? How many exercises do you have to do more, to be able to get to this thing? So it's not necessarily about like, so the emotional side of this would be like how you feel in your clothes, how you look, how you look in the mirror, like that kind of thing. It's not about that this week. It's more about like the logical thing. It's about the logistics. It's about like the actual counting of the calories, the analyzing of the data, and that kind of thing. So hopefully that makes sense to people. But how that can apply to different areas, I'm not sure. But if you're on a mental health journey, a spiritual awakening journey, anything like that, another kind of health journey, like I'm on a chronic illness journey, that kind of thing. So maybe I can't think of it right now, but maybe something I have to do more logistically this week when it comes to that. I don't know what it could be, but the week hasn't begun yet. So, all right, overall outcome. We have beggar, upside down, dependent on others to the exclusion of effort. Okay. So this is about not putting in enough effort in something, and counting on everything else to kind of work itself out. Let's see if I'm saying this correctly, because let me tell you, it's definitely that's how I kind of live my life, is kind of like, I just really truly believe everything will work itself out. But if you don't put in the effort to help yourself, then it's kind of like a moot point. And I think that's what is trying to be conveyed here, is like, make sure you are putting in the effort to pivot, right? What I said, it's tying right back to the need. Basically, it's saying that we need to go in a different direction, but we can't necessarily wait for things to happen to us. We have to make the things happen to us. We have to make it happen for us, I should say. So this is really telling us, going, I love when we get cards that really kind of tie it full circle, because it's basically saying like, we need to put in the effort. This is the week for us to put into effort, make things happen, and put things, do the things that will make everything else fall into place, right? And so we actually have to act on it. We actually have to do something. So that's what basically it's saying. It's like, we can't wait around for, not a handout, but like waiting around for like something to happen to us. We have to make it happen for us. I know I just said that, but this time was like a little smoother. So hopefully you guys get that and understand that. So I love that. It's basically saying, the reminding us that we create our own reality, right? Like sometimes we can kind of like let things kind of go with the flow. Sometimes we don't have a choice with certain things. Life happens to us, but it's kind of us taking control and saying like, okay, how can we make it happen for us? Right now I can take control of things. So sometimes things are out of our control, but basically Spirit is saying like, no, this week there are plenty of things in your control, and that what's in your control is pivoting to a new direction. So I love it. It's giving us back our power. I feel like it's definitely like a very much leaving us with like this empowering feeling. So I like it. All right, guys. So I don't think anything I would consider, the only thing I would consider kind of red flaggish is, the loyalty to the money and finances and career. Be careful of that. Don't overdo yourself. Don't go above and beyond for something that won't go above and beyond for you, And then the addict is kind of like, get those indulgences under control. Everything else I think looks pretty good. So it looks like a pretty good week for you. And I hope you guys have a good one. And don't forget to put down below any comments that you have. And that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.